89 equals c squared. C is going to equal 17. Okay.
Right.
All right. Now maybe we'll do another one in a moment here. But once you find all three sides of the triangle, and just a reminder, I'll send you the notes here at the end. So if you don't get something down,
Okay.
you can grab it later on. Now I'm going to label this side A, or I'm sorry, this angle A here at the top.
Okay.
And there are three trigonometric values that we want to find. Sine of A is what we'll start with. Do you remember what sine of A is in terms of the opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse?
No, so the sin and tan and like cos, all of that, I'm so confused.
Okay, so the teachers, they often, I think you might even had something that said like so, and then ka, and then toa, and there's some ways to remember that. You do have to remember this. I show it slightly differently. I like showing it as SOH like this,
Okay.
because there's sort of an order here, and that it tells you it's the opposite over the hypotenuse. The cosine CAH is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. Tangent is the opposite over the adjacent. Now, so sine here, we need the opposite and the hypotenuse. Okay.
Mhm.
And so relative to A, like imagine you are standing here at A, okay?
Mhm.
Opposite to you is the 8.
Okay.
And I don't know if that, like, I don't know if that's clear, like maybe we can
Yeah.
add more words to it, but like, so now the hypotenuse is always the hypotenuse. You don't have to worry about, because you could say, well, isn't it adjacent? And I would say, well, kind of, but it is the hypotenuse, okay?
Okay.
So in this problem, I'll just label this here, doing it like this. It's 8 over 17.
Okay.
Right. Now let's do it again for cosine. Cosine of A is adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay. So again, imagine you're standing up here. Okay. So adjacent, you could say, well, isn't the adjacent 17? But no, 17 is the hypotenuse. That's the more specific name. The
Mhm.
adjacent has to be one of the legs that comes out from the 90.
Yeah.
So the sort of the important thing here is that the adjacent and the opposite are always legs. Okay. And the hypotenuse is still the hypotenuse. Okay, so in this problem it'd be 15 over 17. And then tangent, we're going to do tangent here. I'm going to make a little more space here on this. So tangent is opposite over adjacent. Tangent of A is opposite over adjacent, which is 8 over 15. Okay.
Mhm.
So here's what you're responsible for. You're responsible for knowing this. Like you have to
Okay.
walk into your test quiz, whatever you've got, and like you have to know this the way you know your phone number, the way you know anything important. You just have to know it really well.
Okay.
We're going to do more problems, but for now, any questions on this before we move on?
I think I'm good. I'm just writing that down the way you have it.
Okay, let me know when you're ready for us to move forward.
All right, I'm good. Like we can move forward.
All right, so let me give you another triangle real quick here, something slightly different. Okay, so this time I'm going to give you 8 and 10. And we need to find the missing side. Okay, so just as a review here, how do you find the missing side when you're given 2 of the 3 sides in a right triangle?
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Very good. Now are you given, which 2 sides are you given? Which of these 3 letters are you given in this problem?
A squared and B squared.
So remember, A and B are the legs.
Oh, okay. So then we're given C squared and A squared.
Yeah, and okay, so a couple things here. You're only given C, like you still have to square it. You can't, this is not C squared. 10 is just the value of C.
Okay.
Okay.
So then
The other thing,
it's C and A squared.
or a C and A,
Yeah.
because same with A and B, like they're the actual values. So in this
Right. Like
problem,
we have to do it.
yes, you have to actually square it. You have to actually work it out here. Okay, so 8 squared is 64 plus B squared equals 100. Subtract 64 from both sides. B squared equals 36. So B equals 6.
Okay.
Okay. So it's really good that you label it. I'm gonna redraw the triangle here. Let me know when you get this down.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Okay, so now let me redraw the triangle. I know I have the benefit of doing that here. Digitally, it's a little easier, but it is good to redraw it sometimes. Now I'm going to label this side down here B. Or, I'm sorry,
Okay.
this angle B. Sorry, I misspoke there. And we are going to again find the sine of B, the cosine of B, and the tangent of. Why did I write A? Wow. Okay. Tangent, sine, cosine, and tangent of B. And again,
Okay.
I recommend kind of like visualizing that you are physically right there, standing right there.
Mm-hmm.
Sine, can you tell me what sine is? What over what? What words do we use? And your choices are
O over H.
okay. What?
So opposite over hypotenuse.
Yeah. So which side is opposite to B, angle B?
Technically, wouldn't it be so the one that has 8? So
Yes. And then the hypotenuse is in this triangle.
8 over opposite 10.
10. So the side, the hypotenuse is always the longest side. That's another
Okay.
thing that's really important here. Really
Okay.
important. It's always the opposite side or the longest side. Cosine of B. Okay. So we mentioned earlier that that's adjacent over hypotenuse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the adjacent one, again, if you're standing there at B, angle B, you might think, well, it could be 10. The hypotenuse is 10.
Mm-hmm.
The longest side is always 10. The adjacent, though, in this problem would be 6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 6 over 10. All right, and then tangent is opposite over adjacent. Will you tell me what that becomes?
Opposite over adjacent, it would be 6 over 10.
The
No.
opposite means from here the opposite, like all the way
Oh,
across.
okay. So it'd be 8
Uh-huh.
over 6.
Yes. Okay. Now there's one small issue with all of these answers, and it's not anything that you've done wrong. It's that you have to reduce the fractions.
Okay.
So in the first problem, you would reduce this to 4 over 5, 3 over 5, and 4 over 3.
Okay.
Okay, so let me quickly pull up some more practice problems that I think will help here.
Okay.
Any questions on what we've written so far?
I just need to get the tan B1. I'm writing it down right now.
Okay, okay. And if I'm not giving you enough time, please just say, hey, Matthew, slow down. Or anything. This is time is for you. I don't want to be get in the way of your learning here.
No, you're good. Okay, I'm good.
All right, so here's a new triangle. Notice
Mm-hmm.
that all 3 sides have already been solved for. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we're gonna do some quick practice here. I want you to tell me the sine of C. Okay, so you have to visualize you are right here at C, and you want to know what is opposite and what is the hypotenuse.
Okay. So in this case, it would be, okay, well, sin, so it would end up being opposite over hypotenuse. So in this case, if it's C, it would be opposite, so it would be 21 over 29.
Very good, excellent. Okay, now let's do another one here. tangent of A. So notice I'm changing the angle on you. You're up here now.
Okay, so tangent of A, it would be,
No, A. I heard you say B.
oh, I'm sorry, yes, so
It's
it'd
okay.
be A, so it'd be opposite.
Yep.
So 20, over 29?
So is 29 give me a tangent again in terms of opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse.
What do you
So
mean?
okay, so here's what I think we're missing. This needs to be
Mhm.
written down every time you do one of these problems. SOHCAHTOA, opposite over hypotenuse, cosine's adjacent over hypotenuse, tangent is opposite over adjacent. So if you're up here at A, the adjacent cannot be 29 because 29 is the hypotenuse. It has to be
Be
the
21.
21. Yeah,
So even though the longest side is 29, because you said the hypotenuse is always going to be,
that's
oh,
right.
well, I guess it isn't. There isn't even an H in there, so it
That's
doesn't.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the little wrinkle on that one. Okay, let's look at some more of these. You're getting your math workout in for the day.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at let's do a cosine of A in this problem. Cosine of A. So again,
Okay.
I would sit here and write down, if it were me, every single time I do a problem, I would write SOHCAHTOA in this form so that I know it's what over what.
Okay.
Now I'll do it for this problem, but I would recommend you start writing it down, because obviously if I
Yeah.
just give you the formula, you're not really synthesizing the stuff we're doing.
Okay. So this case, it would be cosine of A. So we'll start at A. So then the cosine, so it'd be this, it would be C and then adjacent over hypotenuse, correct?
Yes, very
Okay.
good.
So then in this case, it would be 40 over 50.
So you said everything right. You said adjacent over hypotenuse, but you're up here.
Right.
So 40 is opposite.
Okay. So then it would be 30 over 50.
Yes. Now does that reduce?
Yes, it does. So
Yes.
in that case, it would end up being 15 over 25.
Okay. Does that reduce?
Um,
You'll find when I start asking you questions, it's probably because it does.
okay. Yeah, so then in this case, it would be 3 over 5.
Good. Good. Now, if you need a calculator, if you want to have one out, I'm not anti-calculator at all. So if you want that to help you today, please, please do.
Okay.
Okay, let's look at another one here. Tangent of C. So we're now down here, lower left.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now it would be tangent. Okay, so now we're in C. So then it would end up being opposite, so 30
Okay, good.
over adjacent, so 30 over 40.
Yes. So this time, notice that because they both have a 0 in it,
Yeah,
they
it's 3
cancel
over
out,
4.
and it's 3 over 4. Good. Okay, let's look at another one here. I think maybe one or two more, and then you'll have it down. We can move on to some other problems.
Okay.
All right, so let's look at this one here. Let's do what have we've been doing? Okay, let's do the sine of A.
Okay, so A, and then sine would be opposite, so
Okay,
it would end up being 8.
good. Keep
So
going.
8 over, and then hypotenuse 8 over 15.
The hypotenuse is not 15. That's
Oh, I'm sorry, 17.
17. Good. All right. Now let's do the tangent of C.
Tangent of C. So if we're at C, opposite. So in this case, it would be 15.
over.
50, yeah, okay, so 15 over adjacent, 15 over 8.
Yes, very good. Okay. So let's move on to some new problems now.
Okay.
Let's look at, let's do, okay, let me, so do you have a calculator today with
I
you?
do not.
Okay, what do you normally use in the classroom?
So we have calculators for us in the classroom, and then normally we just use our phones, but my mom has my phone right now.
Okay. All right. All right. That's fine. Let me, because there is some importance in you doing some calculations here. I'll, actually, let me, so I'm going to put something in the chat here.
Mhm.
This is a really good calculator to use during our lessons. And, do you have the ability to bring that up?
I do, yes.
Okay. So I want you to find the sine of 37 degrees. So I'm going to just talk you through it rather than switching over to that.
Wait,
Uh,
how do I get it so that I can still view what you're doing, but I can also see?
there's an option to exit full screen.
Um,
If
exit full screen. Okay, I see.
yeah, and if you could quickly click on that
Yes.
link and then
Okay, I'm there.
okay,
I'm all good.
you should see the three letters now. This is a math class. We use proper way of saying it. It's sine, like a
Mhm.
sign like that. Could you enter that in and tell me your answer to 4 decimal places?
Yes. So, it would in 4 decimal places.
Yes, yes.
Okay, it would be 0.6018.
Good, good, very good. Okay. So we're going to use that calculator today as needed. But now we're going to actually work on a practice problem. I just want to make sure you were able to get the right result on that. So let's say we were solving a problem and it was the sine of 37 degrees equals x over 12. Okay. We don't know where this comes from, but we are asked to solve for x. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now on the side with x, what is keeping x from being alone?
The
What's going
12
on? And what's the math operation? Like what is
divided
this?
by 12.
So how do you undo that?
So then in that case, I would need to divide by 12.
Wait, hang on. So you undo with the whatever you're seeing, like in this case, you said division, you undo it with multiplication.
Oh, true. Okay.
All right, so here, let me show you that here. So we're gonna multiply both sides by 12, okay,
Mm-hmm.
like that. Now on the right, the 12s cancel,
Right.
they're gone, okay? So your answer is, and you can always switch the side that the variable's on is 12 sine 37. Okay, so I want you to go back to your calculator,
Mm-hmm.
put a 12 in front of the sign, and tell me your new answer to 2 decimal places, please.
Cosine 37. 7.22.
Good, good, very good. Okay, so now let me have you try solving one. Let's say it's the cosine of 40 degrees equals x divided by 8.
Cosine of 40. Well, in and of itself, that is 0.7660. And then in this case, since it's divided by 8 on that side, I would need to multiply by 8. So in that case, it would be 6.128.
Okay, and if you had to round to 2 decimal places, what would your final answer be?
6.1.
2 decimal places. So
Oh,
you're going
6.12. 6.12.
but but you just said that third digit is an 8. So how does
Okay,
that affect?
6.13.
Yes, yes. Now, I'm not sure how picky your instructor would be, but that's just something to think about going forward. Okay. Any questions on that before we move on to something else?
No, I got it.
Okay. All right. So now here's the more difficult case. What if it's the sine of 13 degrees equals 10 over x? Excuse me. So
Um,
notice how the variable is on the bottom.
yeah. So would it be the same thing or now, or if that's multiplying, you need to divide?
Well, it's a good question. It's a good question here. You actually multiply by x.
Okay.
Okay, and this may not make sense, but sometimes you just have to do it a few times in math, and
Yeah.
then it works itself out.
Yeah.
So this is the new step when you multiply by x. Okay.
Okay.
Now you've done this a couple times now. When you put sine 13 into your calculator or sine of whatever, you get a number. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, now so it's really a number here that's multiplying x. So how do you undo multiplication?
Divide.
You divide both sides by the sine of 13. Now, notice that I'm not putting into the calculator. I'm waiting to do that. That's your choice. If you want to multiply it, if you want to get the number right away, you can just write it out to at least 4 decimal places. But your final answer here is 10 divided by the sine of 13.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so will you enter that into that calculator there and let me know
Yeah.
what you come up with? Round it to 1 decimal place this time.
Okay. So I don't need to put in the x, right? I just go straight to 10
That's right.
divided by.
That way that calculator works, though, you actually can put an x in, which is kind of cool. It's kind of it's more intuitive for like how we think a calculation should be done. So you can put an x
Okay.
equals.
10, 13. Okay. Then it would be 44.5.
Yes, very good. Any questions of this? Because I want you to do one on your own now. I'm just gonna, but if you have questions, please ask.
I think I got it.
So let's review. You multiply by x because x is on the bottom. The only way to get the variable out of the bottom is to multiply by it. Okay. And then you rewrite it. You rewrite it as x sine 13 equals 10. No more x on the right. And then we say, okay, sine of 13 is really a number, so we're going to divide by it.
Okay.
Okay. So here's one for you to try different numbers, but it's the same steps. Okay. So go ahead and give that a try and let me know what you come up with.
Okay. Um, to what decimal point? One?
Yes, that would be good.
Okay. 35 or well, 36 point, well, okay, if it's one decimal, then it would just be 35.9.
Good. Very good. That's great. Okay, so now we can do a bunch of the problems that are on the rest of the page. So let's take a look at which one would be best to do first. Okay, we're gonna look at 15 first.
Okay.
You'll find that there's like an order that I choose to do problems in that's like incrementally makes them more difficult so that there's a chance here for some success.
Okay.
All right, so this one's a little bit awkward because the triangle is rotated, but
Yeah.
always start with the angle that's given. Okay,
Okay.
relative to that angle, what is B and what is 17? And the correct answers are adjacent, opposite, and hypotenuse. So relative to this angle is B, the adjacent, opposite, or hypotenuse is 17, the adjacent, opposite, or hypotenuse.
Okay. So B would be opposite
I agree.
and 17 would be hypotenuse.
Good. Now, which of those three trig functions, sine, cosine, or tangent, uses opposite and hypotenuse?
Opposite and hypotenuse would be sin.
Okay, so the sine of 65 equals what over what in this case?
It would equal b over 17.
Okay, now does this look like one what we've just learned how to solve?
Yes.
Okay, I want you to try solving that for me, please.
Okay. Um, it would be 15.4.
You got it. Now there's a small little adjustment to your answer. You have to use units.
Yeah.
And we have not done that. And it's like they just throw it at you all of a sudden in this unit. They're like, hey, you now have to put units with your answer, centimeters, meters, inches, yards, whatever. Like, I don't make the rules. You got to play by the rules. The rules here are, make sure you add units.
Centimeters or
And
whatever unit.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. All right. Okay, so let me give you another one here for us to look at. Let's step this in. So it's the same steps. It's the exact same steps here. You look at the given angle
Mhm.
and you ask yourself, what is X, or in this case, X, what is 20? And again, the answers are adjacent, hypotenuse, and opposite, or opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse, whatever order you want to do it in. You have to decide that.
Okay, so x would be adjacent
Okay,
and 20 would be hypotenuse.
good. Now, which of the three trig functions uses adjacent and hypotenuse?
Uh like the cos.
Yes,
Yes.
cosine.
Cos.
Yes. All right. So cosine of 27, notice you have to take the cosine of an angle, like the
X
angle goes in there. Now you just said it, it's adjacent over hypotenuse. X,
over 20.
good. So will you solve that for us,
Yeah.
please?
Um, in this case, it would just be multiplying by 20, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, it would be 17.8.
Very good.
Or well, yeah, there's no.
No units in this one, so there's no units or units. All right. So here's one for you to try on your own, please.
Okay.
Let's say this is 35 degrees. This is 8, and this is X. I just want the final answer. So imagine I'm only grading the final answer here. We'll put units in 8 inches, not to scale. I want you to work
Mhm.
this out and give me your final answer. Please ask questions if you have any.
Okay. So and so we're going based off of which one, like, are we using? We're using the 35.
You have to. Like, the answer is there's only one angle given. And I know you could probably calculate the other one, but you generally use the one that's
Okay. So I need one that's opposite and adjacent. Or no. Yeah. Opposite and adjacent. So it would be T. So it would be
yes, that's true. It would be tangent.
um, Okay, I think I got it. How to do it now. It would be 5.6 inches.
Yes, very good. Excellent.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, now we got to do some slightly more difficult problems. That's the way math goes. As soon as as soon as you got it down, you get one that's more difficult.
Yeah.
But you can definitely do it here. So same situation. Okay, so let me, I'll help here by setting it up for you. So like you just asked, like you really do want to start with the given angle.
Okay.
I like to circle it just because that kind of helps to like be like, there's my focus.
Mhm.
So X and 17. In this problem, you're given the opposite and the hypotenuse. And you're like, okay, it's sine. I got it down, sine 59. Here we go. Okay, sorry, I messed this up already. Oh my gosh. You're the first lesson of the day. It's always like a few
That's okay.
failures here early. Um, I also haven't spoken to anyone today, so it's always like, I haven't gotten all the words out yet. All right. Let me try to do better here. I apologize. Here we go. So here's a new problem for us to look at. So like you mentioned, you really do want to look at the angle first, and this time you are given the adjacent. You can even write
Mhm.
that in there, and you're given the hypotenuse, and you're like, okay, I've been doing this for 38 minutes now. It's SOHCAHTOA. It's the cosine of 51 equals 10 over x. Okay, so the difference in this problem is that the variable is now on the bottom.
Right.
Okay, so I'd like you to use your skills that we talked about from some earlier problems there, and just see if you can solve for x.
Okay. Um, 15.8 or 15.9.
All right, you're a little ahead of me here. I was looking for a new problem for step this one, so let me quickly do that. Yes, very good. X is 15.9. Okay, so this is straight from your worksheet, but why don't you give this one a try? It's just like the type we've been doing.
Okay. So 34.6 centimeters.
Right. So I believe that's correct. Yes, that's correct. Okay, very good. All right, so now we can move on to some new problems. Okay, and just like I mentioned before, like as soon as you get it down, you get something totally different. So let me just draw the triangle this time. So here's a new triangle for us to look at. And let's just say this is 39, this is 44, but the angle A is unknown. So you kind of referenced this earlier. It's like, are you given a side and an angle, or are you given two sides? And you could find the third side. Like we've done that a bunch. We did it a bunch early in the lesson, but now we don't actually need the third side. We just want to find the angle. Okay.
Mhm.
But it's the same thing in terms of the setup as we did before. Relative to this angle, what is 39 and what is 44? And again, it's adjacent, opposite, and hypotenuse are your possibilities.
Mhm.
Okay, so 39 is opposite, 44 is hypotenuse. So which trig function are we gonna use? Sine, cosine, or tangent?
In this case, we're gonna use hypotenuse and opposite. So we would use sine.
Okay, so the sine, but we don't know the angle. So
So
we write
sine.
sine A equals 39 over 44. Okay. Now, do you remember from class how to undo a sine?
Um
It's okay if you don't, I'm just asking.
yeah, no, I don't.
Okay, so we did talk about the idea that like multiplication undoes division, division undoes multiplication, addition and subtraction, they undo each other. So there's always something that undoes something in math. So I'll show this one time because you do deserve to see it. There's this thing called a sine inverse, and it undoes sine. Okay, now you don't need to know why. You don't need to know that like that you just need to know that I have to do this. You say, okay, if I'm trying to find A, I have to use this thing called sine inverse.
Okay.
Okay. Now when you get to class, I mean, I know you said you can use your phone when you're doing the calculator stuff. I know it's on there, but you do enter it differently on the phone versus like the one we've been using.
Mhm.
This one, you're going to have to go to the FUNC. You'll see there's an FUNC button on your calculator there. On
F
the
U.
actually, it's not a button. It's like a menu. It's next to
Oh yeah,
main,
yeah. I see it.
and then you'll see there's sine inverse there.
Yeah.
And then you go back and you type in 39 divided by 44.
Okay, so 39 divided by 44. Okay. It should be 62.4.
Good. And that's degrees because it is an angle.
Okay.
It is an angle. Any questions on that?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, so let's try another one here. So new triangle. Let's go. This is 26 and this is 33 and this is B. I want the setup. So I want to know what we're going to write on the left equals what we're going to write on the right here. So you got to tell me which trig function we're going to use, whether it's sine, cosine, or tangent.
Okay. Well, in this case, we're going to be using the cosine.
The cosine of B, very good.
Okay, and then that in this case would be 26 over 33. But
Okay.
since it's not the angle, so yeah, -1. Okay, so then it would just end up being 38.0 or 38.1, I guess.
Yes, that's 38.0. You have it
Okay.
correct. Okay. Now let's say I wanted you to find the other angle down here.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be, we can't like, we don't want to like overcomplicate things. What do the three angles in a triangle add up to?
180.
180. So you don't have to use sine, cosine, tangent again. You just subtract from 180, 90, and
Right.
38. So in that calculator, what's kind of cool is if you hit the enter, you get a new line in your calculator.
Yeah.
And then you can do the next calculation. Like let's say you wanted to find that other angle. I'll snip that in here so you can see what I'm talking about if it's unclear. but like, yeah, I've been using that today, following your answers here, but you can add it and find the other one that you want. The nice thing about
Okay.
this one is this one actually is available as an app. It's free. You may find that
Okay.
it's useful. All right, so I think we got time for one more question, maybe two.
Okay.
Here we go. Let's see a new triangle here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's A. Again, not to scale. Can you find A for us, please?
Yes. So first it would end up being adjacent and opposite. So A and O. So it would be tangent O. So A equals tan -1 will end up being 10/33.
Good.
So that means I just need to plug it in as tan and then go back, and then I have 10 divided by 33. And that should be 16.9.
Very good. Okay,
Okay.
so let's look at we're gonna look at number 10 on your sheet there.
Mm-hmm.
And your picture is perfect. Okay, so here's the picture you made. Looks perfect here. When you have a word problem like this, and we don't have enough time to talk about all the little details of these, we may do that next time, but you do need to draw a picture like you've done here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of got to decide, like we've been doing, are they giving me an angle and a side, or are they giving me a side and a side?
Right.
And in this case, they're giving you an angle and a side to find another side. When they give you two sides, you're generally finding another angle.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, they want to know how far away from the place. So I believe they want X. We'll call this X. So notice that's the adjacent,
Yeah.
and that's hypotenuse. So it's cosine 35 equals X over 800. Do you know
Mm-hmm.
how to solve something like this now?
Yes.
Yes, you do. Okay. So when I look at the other problems here, 11 and 12 and 13,
Mm-hmm.
your setup's really good. Like you've got the picture right. You just have to write the equation now and then solve it.
Mm-hmm.
And you've done that. Like I know you said you just wrote it down real quick, but you know everything now to be able to do problems like this. Is
Okay.
I guess my point. So if it were me, I might consider spending like 10 minutes working through a few of these and then saying I'm done with math for the weekend. But that's totally up to you.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, I mean, I don't assign homework or anything like that.